Max, I think it's time that, there it is again. It's time that Max responds.
Well, I think that's a Menchie thing for Dan Orlovsky to do. And obviously he has a very talented daughter. And all I'll say is I'm with you on Pederson. Stephen A. has got to get in here, but I'm with you on Pederson. The defense played their guts out. When you go for it on 4th and 14 with 8:40 to go, down 11, you're saying I'm washing my hands of this whole thing. You're trying to get out of there. And that was awful, and he didn't use the run game at all. But I'll say this, Dan. When he had a clean pocket, he had a first down on the 50-yard line, he steps into it, has a linebacker on Goddard. Yeah. And like just how you said, hey, Wentz did something good. He should have completed a pass. The receiver dropped it. Bad outcome from a good play. He got a good outcome from a bad play, right? He winds up with a PI call because the linebacker is like trying to catch up to Goddard, and the ball was so underthrown, he winds up smacking into Goddard and gets a PI call. But, like, how do you have a clean pocket? You step up and you underthrow your wide-open tight end on a mismatch by that much. He does that all the time. So I think Pederson wants out, Wentz should be gone, and Roseman too.
Guys, things are not that complicated. The fact of the matter is Carson Wentz is having a very, very bad year. He looks absolutely awful. But he's only 28, and we saw greatness in him before. It is rare that you see greatness, and it evaporates so quickly at such a young age, and that's it. Now, there's one thing when you were great, but then you get old, and as a result, age and attrition coupled with your diminished and deficient skills take fold altogether. It's another thing entirely when you're young, and you just regress, and you slide, and you're having an absolutely awful year. You can resurrect yourself. I will remind you that there was a guy by the name of Nick Foles who was 11-2, if I remember correctly, as a starter under Chip Kelly. Disappeared for years because he was contaminated by Jeff Fisher. Looked absolutely positively awful, so much so that he actually contemplated retirement, but then was asked to come and be a backup in Philadelphia and ended up taking over after Carson Wentz got hurt and won the Super Bowl. And as a result, the next year, Carson Wentz gets hurt again with a 5-6 record. Nick Foles comes in, saves the day, gets them to the postseason, and delivers a win against the top-seeded Chicago Bears in the Windy City before losing to New Orleans in a divisional playoff game. That Nick Foles all of a sudden ends up getting a huge contract from Jacksonville. When he goes to Chicago, we were all applauding it. We were saying if they got the offensive line together, he would look great. There have been a bevy of instances throughout NFL history where there's been a quarterback who wasn't finished, was still relatively young, had exhibited greatness in the past, but they had fallen off, and ultimately was able to correct themselves. Carson Wentz is 28, so I'm not giving up on him. I'm looking at Pederson, and it's not because of Pederson's inability to coach. It's because it appears he does not want to coach Carson Wentz. That was not his guy. That was not his choice. That's not the guy that he believes listens to what he wants done, how it wants done. And that marriage is the problem. Even though we could point to Howie Roseman drafting Jalen Hurts, I'll reiterate what I said earlier. This is the same Howie Roseman that took over after Chip Kelly was unceremoniously exiled. And Howie Roseman takes over, and he helps guide the Philadelphia Eagles to a Super Bowl. We don't look at them and say they have no talent on defense. They have no talent on offense. They don't have running backs. They don't have tight ends. They don't have a couple of wide receivers. We don't look at that. We look at health, and we look at the fact that Carson Wentz and Pederson are not aligned with one another. That is what has to be addressed.
Yeah. Let me hit on this too, Stephen. I think you make a lot of good points. I think the last two I would make is this. I think the point of greatness doesn't just go away like that is a valid one. I think we've seen Carson Wentz in two settings for the Eagles. We've seen him with a relatively talented team in 2017. He was one of the best quarterbacks in football. In his last 3 years, that roster has slowly depleted. And last year, what happened, it's important for everyone to understand, like last year, what happened with that football team and the decimation of injuries is not normal. The way that Doug Pederson and Carson Wentz carried that football team to the playoffs is not normal. And they're going through the same type of injury this year. We can't expect it to happen for the second straight year. And so I would caution everybody. Everyone thinks I'm this Carson Wentz apologist. What do you guys want me to do? You want me to come on television as ESPN pays me to do a job and just go, hey, this guy stinks? No, like my job is to continue to be why. 3 years ago, everyone says Ryan Tannehill stinks. He's a top 10 quarterback. A couple years ago, everyone said before they got Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott stinks. I think that's invalid. So just be very careful. Listen, great movies aren't made just because they're great movies. Shawshank Redemption is an awesome movie because it had a great writer, great director, awesome actors, and an incredible setting. It takes everybody. Carson Wentz, with a rebuilt roster and a coaching staff that instills his confidence back, mark my words, will be performing like a top 10 quarterback again quickly.
It's not just the confidence, Dan. Everything is messed up. And the key was when he said, this is the way we do it around here. He still doesn't believe that he's doing the
it needs to get rebuilt.
He needs to be reworked.
It needs someone who can rebuild it.
Because, yes, he needs to be rebuilt.
Yes.
By the way, he doesn't move the way he used to my eyes.
That's fair.
But he's tough as nails, and he has great talent. But everything is wrong, and there's no – Pederson's ain't going to fix this. I don't know if the Eagles are going to fix this.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.